Hello, people of YouTube. This is Gray's Guitars. I am Steve Gray, and this is an update to the Gibson versus Dean case of the intellectual property copyright infringement. I believe the last video I made of this, which was quite a while ago, was saying that there was going to be a retrial, and that in the meantime, Dean can continue making the V and Z and SG style guitars. But I think they can't do that anymore permanently. So it's going to be interesting to see how this whole situation pans out again, I should say, because they did have to stop for a little while, but during the time of the retrial, they were able to continue producing those guitars. So the jury decision reinforces the validity and strength of Gibson's intellectual property rights. Gibson emerged victorious in copyright infringement retrial battle with Dean. Texas federal judge once again sided with Gibson, rejecting Dean's argument that the former's Flying V, Explorer, and SG guitar shapes are generic in the minds of the guitar-buying public. I would say nowadays they are, but at the same time, Gibson is the one that created those. Every single guitar you ever see, you see, oh, it's a Les Paul. It doesn't matter if it's an ESP or a Jackson or a BC Rich or an Ibanez. Everybody that sees a single cut guitar, even if it's not an actual Gibson Les Paul, they call that the Les Paul shape. Same with Flying V, same with SG, same with Explorers as well. Kind of all these Gibson-esque creations. So a federal judge has for a second time sided with Gibson in its years-long trademark battle with Armadillo Enterprises, the owner of Dean's Guitars, initiated in 2019, so this has been going on for a minute now. When Gibson sued Armadillo for trademark infringement, the battle centered around the former brand's argument that Dean had violated the trademarks for, to name the most prominent examples, its proprietary Flying V, Explorer, and SG designs. Now, they didn't call them that. I think it was just a V, a Z, and the SG was called something way different. But they didn't, actually call them that. So Dean, meanwhile, argued that in the minds of guitar-buying public, those shapes had become generic. Gibson emerged victorious in May of 2022, with the Texas federal judge deeming the shapes in question to indeed be Gibson's. But last July, Dean won the right to retrial the case, arguing successfully to the Texas Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals that certain key evidence in his favor had been excluded in the original trial. The retrial, however, has led to the same results, with Gibson trademarks being upheld, and as was the case 3 years ago, the company's receiving a token sum for damages. In a statement shared with Guitar World, Gibson said Gibson has secured another major legal victory in its ongoing commitment to protect its iconic designs. In the retrial of Gibson V versus Armadillo Enterprises, Dean Guitars, a Texas federal jury has once again upheld Gibson's exclusive rights to its legendary guitar shapes and trademarks in recognition of the harm caused by Dean's infringement. The jury's decision reinforces the validity and strength of Gibson's intellectual property rights, confirming that its guitar shapes, including the Flying V, Explorer, and SG, remain protected trademarks. The statement continued. I wonder if this one doesn't include... There was one guitar where it was like a carbon copy of their Dove pickguard or something. If I remember, that would have been a Seagull or something, and maybe that's a different case, or that's something different. But I know it was kind of part of this at one point in time, but we're talking, 2019, so it's been a minute. Gibson is turning its focus to the future, continuing to invest in innovation, craftsmanship, and the next generation of groundbreaking guitars. They did pop out the Theodore, which I don't know if I would call that groundbreaking an initiative, because it's essentially 1960 Tisco Tulip. same general design there. Guitar World has reached out to Dean for comment. So what's going to happen now? That is the big question. I think we're going to be back to Dean cannot make those shapes anymore. They have to change them up a little bit. They can't make an exact Z style or Explorer style. They can't make an exact Flying V, and they cannot make an exact SG copy. We can actually go over to their website real quick here and see if they still have them available. I can guarantee you they're still available as of this moment. Let's see. Shapes. Let's see. Here's, yeah, let's just do the V. Load that up. So yeah, I mean, this is definitely, like, this looks like a Gibson. Yeah, right here. I'm just going to click on this. Now, the headstock is completely different, but the body shape, that is 100%, you know, Gibson Flying V. I think they have other shapes, though, like the KKV. What is that? Yeah, so I feel like this one's probably fine because it's different enough. You know, it's more angular, so that's probably not going to cause any issues. Let's see what else we have. Let's see, go to the Z. And I don't, as I said, I know for a fact they don't copy the headstocks, but the trademarks themselves are pretty much, you know, solid, at least on the headstocks in the U.S. anyway. In Japan, it's a different story. But that's 100% an Explorer. I'm going to see if we can find, was it a Stealth? Is that what they called it? Nope, was not a Stealth. We'll try like 2 or 3 more. What the heck was the name of that thing? Spiritual. Nope. Oh, okay, we're getting the right direction, though, because that's the top of the SG. Rebel, maybe? I don't know. Nope. We'll try Razorback. We're going to go through like 2 more of these and before I give up. Also, no, that looks like a Dimebag Daryl. Maybe they got rid of it. They might have just got rid of it altogether. Yeah, this also is kind of an Explorer shape, but I would say it's different enough where that shouldn't cause any problems because it's pointy. It's just kind of pointy, you know. I wish it would show me. What if I just do Dean SG and see what comes up? What the heck do they call it? Grand Sport? All right, let's see if that's still on the website. No, it's not. So maybe that's one thing they thought they weren't going to win on. That's kind of funny, though, because, you know, they went with an SG. It's more of a GS Grand Sport. They did the opposite, which I think is kind of funny. But ultimately what this means is, yeah, Dean is going to be back into they can't make those guitars. I don't know if they're going to go after other companies, because, you know, there's like ESP does this, too. Jackson does this. ESP, Jackson, I think kind of BC Rich, Ibanez, you know, all of these companies have used these shapes in the past and or are currently using them. Now, they might argue, okay, they're modified enough where it's not a one-to-one type deal where a couple of the Deans, the bodies anyway, were a one-to-one. But essentially, it just means that they can't make these guitars anymore, which kind of sucks, because they're significantly cheaper, most of them, unless you get the USA-made ones. Then the Gibson counterparts. I've always kind of wanted a V or a Z-shaped guitar, Explorer, whatever you want to call it. Just haven't got around to owning one. Now, I haven't found one for the right price, I should say. That's what it comes down to. And I think, you know, if this was 20 or 30, maybe even 40 years ago, when Dean actually was making one-for-one, so was Ibanez, you know, the whole lawsuit era, if you will. I could see this going through, because at that point, you know, the guitar was, you know, it was in its 20s, but it was still a fairly young instrument. Now you're talking the guitar, these guitars are like, the body shapes anyway, are like 70-something years old. I think was it 1952? 55 maybe, somewhere around there. The body shapes came out, so they've been around the block for a very long time. And I could see initially when they first did it doing this, but, you know, Gibson, that's what they have. You know, they have their trademarks. They have their headstock shapes, all of that. Everything that makes a Gibson, they want to protect it to the fullest extent of the law, and that's why they do that. A lot of people are annoyed at Gibson because when you pick up the guitar, does it say, it's not like a Gibson. You know, it's not like when you pick up a Gibson, it still says Gibson made in USA on the thing. A Dean has a completely different headstock shape. It says Dean right on the thing. Sure, the body shape is, even if it is a one-for-one body shape, you know, Fender lost that lawsuit with the Stratocaster and Telecaster a very, very long time ago. The Stratocaster being the most copied body shape ever. And you would think they would look at that for similar cases. In the U.S., we do have the headstock shape protection. That's the main thing that's protected. But if you go to another country like Japan or even China, they don't really have that at all. You can find an ESP Les Paul that says, ESP or Edwards on it, or whatever their brands are over there, with the exact open book Gibson headstock shape, and there is nothing they can do about it because that's how Japanese ruled it. Or Japan ruled it. Whereas the U.S., I can see the headstock, I can definitely see that. Make a different headstock, make it look different, put a different name on it. Don't copy the name to a T. At least with the Explorer style, they call it a Z. With the Flying V, they just call it a V. Maybe they should have called it something else. I don't know. But sorry, Dean. This kind of sucks. Sucks for people that want to buy these instruments too. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. This is probably the last video I'm going to make on this. I think the last video I made, I said this was the last video I was going to make, but then this popped up today because of the retrial. So maybe go buy a Z or a V or a Grand Sport, even though I don't think they're making them currently, while you can, because I guarantee you shortly they are going to be pulled off of the website. Dean, I think it wasn't a lot of money. I think it was like $40,000. And for a business, successful business, I hate to say that, I know it's a lot of people's salaries, it's $40,000 in a year, but for a larger corporation, that's kind of a drop in the bucket compared to other things. So that's probably what it's going to be again. They're going to owe Gibson a little bit of money. They're going to have to pull them off the website, and then this is just going to be done, and that's it. So yeah, thank you yet again. Subscribe if you're new here, and as always, till next time, have a good one.